I have never seen Howie Roseman and the Birds this active the week before the start of an NFL season. Philadelphia once again dipped into the free agent pool and brought back not one, but two familiar faces, one of which who fills a massive hole the Eagles desperately needed help with. Plus, what's going on with the Audric Estime signing that's not become official, and what the Dallas Cowboys just did with Micah Parsons that shifts the balance of power in the NFC, and has all Philadelphia grinning from ear to ear. I'm Thomas Mott, this is the Thomas Mott Show. There has been so much Eagle news the past 48 hours that I'm not really sure where to even begin. Between trades, roster cuts, new signings, accusations of stealing released injured players, and of course injury updates, I could honestly start anywhere. But how about something simple, as Philadelphia announced Thursday morning their 3 killer uniform games this year are all now inside the division, including Week 8 at home versus the Giants, Week 12 at the Dallas Cowboys, and the Week 18 home finale versus the Washington Commanders. All but guaranteeing 3 wins here, as the Birds are 4-0 since redonning the vintage throwbacks with a point differential of plus 56 in those 4 games. I love the fact the NFL is embracing the throwback uniforms and the alternate uniforms. 3 different Kelly Green games is fantastic, plus the Black Friday game versus the Bears where they wear their all-black uniforms, so really 4 alternate uniform games. Fun stuff right there, thumbs up for that. Moving on to the actual most important news, and that is what's happening next week versus the Dallas Cowboys. And we got a couple of quick injury hits here, starting with Cowboys cornerback Trayvon Diggs, who's officially been moved from the PUP list onto the active roster and did confirm earlier this week he will play versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Pair that with the latest Birds practice update, which included A.J. Brown actually back on the field, although projected in a limited capacity. Either way, we should now officially get the very exciting CB1 versus wide receiver 1 matchup next Thursday night. Now, who we won't see on the field next Thursday night is now officially Micah Parsons, who, and I can't believe I'm saying this right now, was just traded to the Green Bay Packers for 2 first-round draft picks and defensive tackle Kenny Clark. With Parsons also immediately signing a 4-year, $188 million deal, making him the highest-paid non-quarterback in the history of the NFL at $47 million per year. This is literally one of those trades you're going to sit back 20 years from now and remember where you were whenever it happened. Where were you when Micah Parsons was traded from the Dallas Cowboys? It's one of the most shocking trades I have ever experienced in my 29 years of life, and I still cannot believe A, Dallas did it, and B, what Green Bay gave up. Now, first from the Packer perspective, those 2 first-round draft picks are a lot, and the contract obviously is a lot to swallow going forward, but there's no arguing that Micah Parsons could be the missing piece for a Packer unit that is very much a threat in the NFC. Sure, Jordan Love has to be much better, but man, as an Eagles fan, my first thought was, holy cow, Green Bay is going for it all here in 2025. Not to say they're still better than Philadelphia, even with Micah Parsons, I don't think so, but remember, that Green Bay game come Monday night, November 10th, it just got a lot more interesting for both sides. As far as Dallas is concerned, honestly, I don't even know what to say here. Could they have handled this in any worse way? Sure, they save money and they get their precious draft picks, honestly, not a bad thing, but drafting an all-world talent, like a future Hall of Famer, and then refusing to sign him with all the drama Jerry Jones created the past couple of weeks has got to be one of the biggest fumbles in NFL history, and one of the biggest signs of a terribly run organization. And now the more pressing fact is, the already projected terrible Cowboy defense this year just got leagues worse. So now they have $1 billion or so tied into Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and Pickens, who will probably give up 30 points per game, hopefully starting next Thursday. Give me your thoughts on the Micah Parsons trade down below in the comment section right now, because I'm shocked. Like, I'm filming this as soon as it went ahead and went live. I, one, am happy he's not playing against us on Thursday, but I thought they would eventually re-sign him. Now he goes out of the NFC East. He's going to be in the NFC with Green Bay. Wow, what a nuclear move in the NFL. And Dallas, they're going to get dragged for this, and I'm all for it. Now, flying back to the much less dramatic but still important news for Thursday night, and how about the trifecta of Devonta Smith, Landon Dickerson, and Jordan Mailata all returning to practice this week with the expectation that every single one of them will be ready to roll for Week 1, which does include, yes, Landon Dickerson, who was spotted at practice, limited but moving around well, just a couple of weeks removed from his minor knee surgery. He's going to gear up to give it a go next week. Honestly, the only injured Bird I'm not expecting to suit up next week is, of course, backup quarterback Tanner McKee, who is spotted, as you see here, with a brace at practice around that fractured thumb. Meaning new backup quarterback Sam Howell was given the majority of McKee's reps at practice and sounds pretty darn ready, even with a short runway, to learn the playbook and back up Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, for me, this is my 5th offense I've had to learn in the NFL, so I'm kind of used to learning new things and feel like I do pretty well at learning things pretty fast, so I'll be ready to go.
Are there any tricks to learning it quickly?
Yeah, honestly, it's just time. You got to sacrifice a lot of time, and I've spent a lot of time in this building since I've been here since Sunday night, and it'll continue to be that way, just so I'm ready to go.
Of course, with all injuries this week, it is important to note that Philadelphia does not have to release any sort of injury designation, so we don't know if officially A.J. Brown was limited or a full participant, same with the rest of the guys. However, next Monday, their first practice of the official game week, we will get an official injury report, so subscribe and stay tuned for that. Now, of course, injuries aside, and the big stories this week for everybody in Philadelphia has been the absolute plethora of moves Howie Roseman has made following roster cut day. Some we've talked about, and others I will in a moment. But the most interesting move might be the one that Philadelphia actually failed to make, as reports emerged on Wednesday that former Ravens DB Jalen Armour-Davis, a promising young corner out of Alabama who was cut by the Baltimore Ravens just the other day, had waiver claims put in by the Titans, Saints, Dolphins, and wait for it, your Philadelphia Eagles. Of course, the NFL waiver wire, not your fantasy football waiver wire, but the NFL version goes exactly in order of where you finished last year. Titans had the first chance, Philadelphia had the 32nd chance, meaning the fact Tennessee put in a waiver claim for Armour-Davis. That's why he ended up a Tennessee Titan. The big news, though, is that Philadelphia is telling us they like their cornerback room and yet just tried to go ahead and claim another cornerback. Underdog isn't just for pick'em. Underdog is also the easiest place to play fantasy football. Best Ball Mania 6 is the largest fantasy football tournament of all time. It's only $25 to enter for your shot at $15 million in total prizes and the first place prize of $2 million. It's simple. Just draft your team and Underdog sets your best lineup every week. No waivers, no trades, just set it and forget it. I've been having a blast drafting this summer, and who knows, maybe I'll get matched up against some of you guys. Also, it's available in over 40 states, including Georgia, Missouri, Texas, and yes, Pennsylvania. Make sure you sign up with my promo code Mott, so when you play $5, you get $50 in bonus bets. So download the app today and start drafting your lineup today. I mean, it was Howie Roseman literally on Tuesday where he said, "We love the cornerback room, no worries there, it's not going to be a problem," and that clearly might not have been the whole truth, leading many to wonder if Philadelphia is truly done making moves, especially at corner. And to add fuel to that fire, how about ESPN insider Dan Graziano writing yesterday that he expects the Birds to, quote, keep tinkering their defense, adding that not every development timetable goes as planned, and asking younger players to take on larger roles brings some risk. This Eagles group has no interest in stopping at one Super Bowl title. They're thinking dynasty thoughts, end quote. And I obviously agree with that, and so does Howie Roseman because he has continued to tinker with the defense the past couple of days. My question, though, and I think yours as well, are they done, or is there another move still to be made? And the answer to that is maybe, because Philadelphia did make yet another move on Thursday, signing back former Eagle return specialist Britian Covey to the practice squad, seemingly out of the blue. Remember, Covey signed a one-year deal back in March with the LA Rams, and despite a decent preseason showing, was released earlier this week. With Philadelphia losing Ainias Smith to the Panther practice squad a couple of days ago, Philly's need for a kick returner was really obvious, and who better to bring back than the former special teams star from 2 years ago. Because don't forget, Britian Covey led the NFL in punt return yards back in 2023. It is worth mentioning that the reason Philadelphia did not re-sign him this past offseason is because he had 2 separate stints on the IR list, and they liked Avery Williams, they liked Ainias Smith, and so they gambled not bringing him back. A very Fred Johnson type situation, but it works out in the end. It is, though, in the end, wild seeing Britian Covey back at Eagles practice and rocking number 85, not his normal number. But I think this is a much more important signing than people realize because before this, Cooper DeJean was the only real punt returner, at least option, heading into week 1. Now, if you've been counting the practice squad signings, you're probably saying, Thomas, wait a second, I thought Philadelphia signed Audric Estime the other day. That was the 16th practice squad player, so how are they making room for Britian Covey? And well, that's a great point and a little confusing, as during the Birds' Thursday practice, they announced the signing of Epps, Luke Felix, and Covey, not Estime, which actually led Anthony DeBona to smartly, I might say, point out on Twitter that Willie Lampkin, also newly signed, was at practice with a huge brace on his knee, the same reason he was cut by the Rams in the first place. Perhaps Lampkin is eventually going to go on IR, so it opens up a roster spot for Epps or Covey and allows Estime to then get signed to the Birds practice squad. So keep an eye out for that to happen in the coming days. But either way, on Estime for a second, I liked him coming out of college and at Denver, but we forget that he got hurt week 1 last year and stayed on IR in Denver until October, where he made just 1 start and logged 76 carries for 310 yards. He obviously has a ton of potential. That's why I'm interested, because he's a very powerful back that also has some top gear speed. He can definitely be explosive, but are we really thinking he's going to do anything for Philadelphia in 2024? Now, of course, moving on to the lone defensive move the Birds made in signing safety Marcus Epps, who signs with the Birds following a stint with the Raiders in 2023 and the Patriots in 2024. Now, personally, I'm a little hesitant on this whole Epps deal. Not that adding safety depth with Drew Makuba still not practicing as of Thursday is a bad thing, but I've seen a lot of fans thinking Epps is going to compete for a starting job, and that I do not see. Yes, Epps was a full-time starter on the 2022 Philadelphia Super Bowl team, but he really wasn't that great, especially in the Super Bowl, the point that Philadelphia let him walk to the Raiders that following March, where he did technically start 17 games before tearing his ACL, which then limited him to just 3 games during the 2024 stint in New England. Plus, this whole idea that Epps is familiar with Philadelphia is honestly kind of dumb because he was familiar with the Jim Schwartz and Jonathan Gannon version of the Eagles, not the current regime under Vic Fangio. Not to mention, by the way, side note, not a big deal here, but this does officially kill any sort of shot at Justin Simmons, although by now we all know clearly Philadelphia didn't want him. I'm not saying I'm anti-Marcus Epps. I think adding depth at safety is a good thing. But if you were thinking, oh my gosh, they just got their new starting safety 6-7 days before the start of week 1 against the Dallas Cowboys, I'm just not buying that. This is clearly a depth signing right now in case the worst were to happen. And as Philadelphia Eagle fans, we should honestly hope that Marcus Epps does not play at all this year, because if he does, that means both Drew Makuba and Sidney Brown have not really worked out. And of course, I still need to mention the other practice squad signing that really flew under the radar this week when Philadelphia added tackle Luke Felix Fualalo, I think is how you say his name, say that 3 times fast, who fills the Birds' now international player pathway slot as a 6'7", 318-pound offensive lineman from, wait for it, Brisbane, Australia. I'm sensing a pattern emerging here that I just can't put my finger on. Clearly, he is the annual Australian project player that they'll see if Stout can polish into a diamond. Now, moving back to the other addition, because Philly has made so many here, and that is Willie Lampkin, the waiver wire center pickup from the Rams, who's undersized but has some insane tape. Well, apparently Philadelphia loved him so much that they broke an unspoken rule among NFL GMs. As Twitter, or I guess Ram fans, were very quick to point out yesterday that, quote, in the NFL, there is an unwritten rule that teams don't claim waived injured players. It's a courtesy so the original team can stash them on IR without losing them. 31 teams respected that with the Rams' offensive lineman Willie Lampkin. The Eagles' Howie Roseman broke tradition and claimed him, which truly is the most pathetic argument I've heard against Howie Roseman signing Willie Lampkin, because the Rams released him. If the Rams loved Willie Lampkin and he, got hurt, they could have just stashed him immediately on IR and not even worried about losing him to another team. So, a funny thing to share there. Doesn't matter in the end. I don't think other GMs are going to boycott Howie Roseman because of it. Clearly, though, Howie Roseman loved this kid. Jeff Stoutland loved this kid. And who knows if he plays this year, but once he's healthy, I think Stout's going to have a ton of fun figuring out if he could be a potential future center prospect in Philadelphia. Overall, I do think the overwhelming takeaway from the Birds this week, and all their moves, is that they 100% believe they can repeat in 2025. And this flurry of small but seemingly important moves to, most importantly, secure depth is his way of crossing every I and dotting every T. And you better believe that players both inside and even, outside the Birds locker room knows this. I mean, listen to Fred Johnson, a backup on the Birds last year, explained just yesterday how happy he was to find out he was returning to Philadelphia following his trade from the Jaguars.
Great to be back. Oh my God, I'm so excited, so ready. Just happy to be back in the city, happy to be back with this team, and continue to keep the train rolling.
What was your reaction when you heard about the trade?
I heard about the trade, and I kind of, was like, hey, if I go anywhere else, I'd rather go back to the Eagles. So, I was super happy, super excited. I told my family, told my mom, told my son, and, was just ready to get out here. I almost asked to drive up instead of fly the next morning. So, I was ready to get back.
Likewise, the move to keep Darius Cooper and undrafted nobody from Tarleton State who balled out in the preseason on the final 53-man roster wasn't only a depth move, but a morale boost as well, because Cooper's teammates loved him and clearly wanted him back in Philadelphia. Although apparently A.J. Brown's wish for that ugly number 41 to finally be changed has been granted, as of course Darius Cooper and a bevy of other Birds have claimed their new numbers, including 14 for Sam Howell, 80 for the aforementioned Cooper, 18 for John Mechie, 41 for Jacorian Bennett, yuck by the way, 74 for Fred Johnson, and now 39 for Epps and 85 for Britian Covey. These, of course, could change at any given point, but it does seem like these are the official numbers, including DC's number 80. Love that for him heading into week 1. Jokes aside, I love where Philadelphia is right now. I know I just poo-pooed on some of the moves that they just made, as if I'm saying Marcus Epps and Audric Estime are not massive, groundbreaking moves. I think most of you guys will agree. But where the Eagles are right now, post-moves, post-cuts, post-trades, everything that Howie Roseman has done is really fantastic. Injuries are looking good, the depth is secured, and they're gearing up for a very important week 1 matchup on national television next Thursday versus the Dallas Cowboys. I think most of us are feeling very confident they're going to win, and hopefully win in impressive fashion on Thursday night. Now, of course, plenty more stuff happening the next couple of days and weeks as we're going to get into the Week 1 preview starting on Monday. If anything happens, be sure to go ahead and subscribe because we'll be the first to go live and break things down. Plus, we are approaching 105,000 subs, and that means the Philly Dogs signed helmet giveaway and plenty more stuff like this happening here pretty soon as well. So again, subscribe, like button. I'm Thomas Mott. This has been the Thomas Mott Show.